Hey y'all, welcome back to BPD in the Cross, episode number 2. If you heard my podcast this week and you're back, thank you so much. I appreciate it. If this is your first time here, welcome. I'm glad you're here. My name is Tabitha. I'm a mother of 2, a woman of faith, and I live with borderline personality disorder, or BPD. This podcast is about, where faith and BPD meet, because life is messy, especially in the life of mental health. But God is present, even in all of this mess. If you are new with me here, I write everything that I want to say, and I have it on my computer, and I just read off of it, because if I don't, I get really off track, and we're going to go somewhere else. And I'm trying to stay on point, just so I'm not, going into like an hour-long podcast or something. I'm trying to keep everything somewhat timely for y'all. So, we're going to dive right in. Diving in, we're going to be real right off the bat. So, how many of you would say living with BPD feels like living in a constant storm? Or any mental health struggle? I know for me it does. One minute the sky is clear, everything feels okay, maybe even good, and then out of nowhere, well, there's the clouds. Oh, there's the thunder. There's the lightning. That was very short-lived, It's literally a slap in the face because it can happen that fast. So fast. It's like one word and you're the happiest person in the universe. You hear one little word and all of a sudden the world's falling apart and woe is me, It's a lot. For me, those storms are often in forms of fear. And when I get so fearful or anxious or even worried, anything in that category, it comes out in anger almost 99% of the time. And you'll think I'm angry, but I'm not angry. I'm just so terrified. But it comes out with the way I say it. And I say it angry sometimes, but I'm not mad. And anyways, we won't get too far into there. I can't tell you how many times that I've actually expressed my anxiousness and my fearfulness in anger, unfortunately. And I have my mom going, honey, I'm not giving you a hard time. And it's like, I know you're not giving me a hard time. And then it just goes into this back and forth thing. By the end, I'm irritated, don't want to be in the house. Nobody is satisfied. And it just really dampens the aura around us. And not just for my mom, that goes for my siblings as well, people I know. All I can say is it's a lot. A prime example for me is constructive criticism. I know 2000% that constructive criticism is not a bad thing. We can always strive to do better. None of us knows everything. We can always learn. And constructive criticism is one of the best things that you can get from somebody. They're teaching you how to improve so you can be better. Or an easier way to do it for yourself so you can do better. That's all a win-win. In the normal mind, that's a win-win. Unfortunately, in the mind of a BD individual, that is not how it comes off. When it first happens, it's, I can't do anything right. Obviously, they don't trust me to do anything. Don't they think I already know this? I'm not good enough because they have to keep telling me how to be better. And here I am in the back in the corner because how I see myself, even though I know there's not 2 people in my head, but how I see it is BPD is one person, okay, and I'm the other one. And while she's going, how dare you give me constructive criticism, I'm in the corner going, oh my gosh, this is not going to be good when it's over. And I swear I can see myself in 2 forms. Go, oh, she's freaking out. But I'm in there going, no, don't do it. Oh, Lord have mercy. And it never ends well, 99% of the time. But that's the storm. The Bible actually talks a lot about storms, like real ones and metaphorical ones. And one of them is Mark 4. Now, this is one of my favorites as well. This has been one of my favorite. It was one of the coolest stories growing up, and it still is even as an adult. So in Mark 4, where Jesus calms the storm, all the disciples are in the boat, the storm's going crazy, the boat's going everywhere, and they're like, "Teacher, are you going to let us drown?" And what does Jesus do? He stands up, he speaks to the winds and the waves, the wind and the waves, and he says, "Peace, be still." And just like that, that storm obeys him. Man, I've always thought that was such a cool story. And again, it's still a cool story. Just making that storm just whoop, peachy keen now. Now, does that mean Jesus is going to instantly calm every storm and every emotion we go through? Honestly, not always. Sometimes that storm outside, it still rages. Sometimes the storm is what brings you closer to God, because what I have found is that He can calm the storm inside, okay? That place where your fear, your anxiety, and your anger is swirling. A personal moment. Not too long ago, I had an argument with someone very close to me. Very, very close to me. And despite the peaceful outcome that we came to, I was still convinced that he did not like me. He hated me. He was being immature, being mean, and just completely out of context. That anxiety lit up every part of my brain. And when it happened, I just got so afraid, and it came out in anger for those around me, because I was just so freaked out. But here's where faith met me. Remember Psalms 46:1. God is our refuge and our strength, an ever-present help in trouble. Ever-present help in trouble. I've whispered a lot of verses over and over again in my head for my lifeline. Did the fear vanish instantly? No, it didn't. But that storm inside started to settle down just enough that I could get a breath of air, have a woosah, It helps me not react in ways that I'm going to regret, which is saying or doing something. Impulsivity, that's how you say it. The impulse behavior, impulse speaking. She loves me. It helps me not do that, you know what I mean? To reach out for support instead of self-destruction and self-sabotage, because that can happen too. Faith is so powerful, but I also know that we do need practical tools to help us navigate our BPD. We can talk about a few. Here are some that actually helped me. Grounding techniques, as I mentioned in episode 1. I have to ground myself. Otherwise I just feel like I'm being swept away. I have to ground myself. You can do 5 things. 5 things that you can see. 4 things that you can touch. 3 things that you can smell. 1 thing you can taste. 2 things that you can touch. However order you want to put that in. That will actually bring you back down. Okay? It does. It works. You can also say a quick prayer. Lord, help me stay here. Help me stay focused, not lost in fear. Again, you can have your own little ways of saying your own prayers. Obviously, everyone's different. Whatever helps you the most, whatever's easiest for you. One of the 2, do both. Another one, scripture anchors. Have a few verses in the Bible ready for you for whenever that chaos and that storm is approaching. Have them ready. A really good one is Isaiah 41:10. I want to share this one with y'all. It says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand." That one's a really, really good one. It really is. Now, these tools don't erase my storms by any means, but they do help. They give me an umbrella. And we need that umbrella sometimes. We all do. It's a place to stand and just remember that, hey, I am not alone. You're not alone. Because the truth about BPD is the storms are going to come. That fear of abandonment is going to come. The anxiety is going to come. The anger is going to come. Okay? But it's just like the disciples in the boat. We can choose to cry out to Jesus for those storms. We can. Not perfectly, not calmly, maybe even sometimes a little desperately. But guess what? He's not offended by our desperation. He's not. He wants to help us. Sorry, I've got something in my eye. But he's not offended by our desperation. Not one bit. I think, in fact, he leans into it. He meets us right there in that chaos. And he is our umbrella. And here's the thing. The storms don't last forever. That's the best part. The storms do not last forever. Sometimes it feels like they will, but they will always pass. And when they do, we often find ourselves stronger and closer to God. Maybe you've been surprised that we got through it again. I know I have felt that a few times. Maybe more than a few times, but... But I do want to pause here and ask you something. So, is it fear of abandonment that you feel the most often? Is it anger that feels uncontrollable? Is it emptiness? That can feel like impossible to feel. Or do you feel like you're a constant burden, like I do? I feel like I'm a burden to everybody all the time. And even though I say I used to not feel like I was a burden, it still feels like that inside. I don't let it get to me as bad as it used to, because I used to always feel like a burden. That's still the thing that I feel the most, but I have gotten better with that. But again, mine's the burden. I used to always feel like I was a burden. I still do sometimes, and I can't help it, but, Wherever you are, I want you to imagine inviting God into that storm. Not to magically erase it, but to sit with you in the moment, in the chaos, reminding you that you are not alone, because we're not alone. Before I wrap up, I would like to end with a short prayer. I really like ending with the prayers. God, you see every storm in our lives. The ones outside of us and the ones raging inside. Thank you, that you never leave us, even when we feel tossed around and overwhelmed. For the listener who feels like, they're drowning right now, bring them a deep sense of your presence. Speak peace into their heart, remind them of your promise, and help them find steady ground. Amen. Well, thank you so much for being here for episode 2. I really appreciate you being here. Now, the storms don't define you. BPD does not define you. Even the waves, they don't define you, and nothing will take you away from God. I hope this episode has encouraged you. If it has, please share it with someone that you think might need it or could benefit from it. Don't forget, like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And until next time, remember that you are loved, you are seen, and you are not alone. Thank you, guys.